Hi everyone, this is Wayne Rivers at Performance Construction Advisors, where we build better contractors. This week I want to talk about success and legacy. I read an article in the CEO newsletter. I can't recommend it enough. It's written by John Schlifske, who was the retiring CEO of Northwestern Mutual Life. I didn't realize that Northwestern Mutual was that big. $36 billion a year company. I looked at their annual report for a few minutes. Gosh, there's a lot to take in. I was trying to figure out how many employees this person supervised, and couldn't find it. But anyway, $36 billion, that implies quite many thousands of employees, doesn't it? Now, what about this is important to you? Schlifske was the CEO for 14 years, which is double, if not triple, the average tenure of a Fortune 500 CEO. And so obviously the board and the shareholders think that he was doing something right. In fact, he increased their revenue by about 50% over the course of his 14-year tenure. So he was a pretty successful CEO by most standards. So what does he say that we need to do to be successful as leaders, but also create a leadership legacy in our organizations? He has 6 pointers for us, and I think they're pretty darn good. Now, what about this is important to you? Well, if you're like me, you like leading, you like building an organization, but you also want your organization to prosper after you're gone. And that's the thing he's talking about here, not just success in the short run, but legacy in the long run. So that's the focus of this week's vlog. Number 1, what does he say? You guys must think I'm a broken record. But the first 2 bullet points here really gave me heart, because we message this all the time, and I know you guys get tired of hearing about it a little bit, but I just can't emphasize, if you're going to be the leader of a large and growing organization, how important these 2 things are. The first thing is create a bold vision and mission. You knew it was coming. He says, you do these things to ground your business and your decision making. He said that he spent years. Now this guy was a CEO. I mean, pretty powerful individual. He comes into the organization. He said he spent years analyzing the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities of his organization as he developed the vision and mission over time. So think about that intentionality. He just didn't walk in the door, swinging an axe or a magic wand. He comes in and with intentionality thinks about strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, and then builds out the vision and mission to support those things. He called it an intentional deep dive, and I love that. I love that term. The second thing, again, vision and mission. You've got to build excitement around them. People think a new CEO comes into an organization or a new leader, and everybody's going to fall in love with them and their vision and all of the wonderful, flowery, unicorn things that they say and do. And that's not the case. You've got to sell these things. People are naturally skeptical and they don't like change. So a new leader, a new supervisor comes to an organization. You can't just assume that people are going to blindly follow. You've got to build excitement. You've got to build energy. You've got to talk about these things. If you have a vision and mission worth their weight in the organization, you've got to talk about them all the time. You can never let them fall below people's daily radars. And here it sounds trite, but here every single week at our meeting, we talk about our mission, vision, and values every single week. So everybody's got it top of mind, just in case it comes up at a peer group or a boot camp meeting or a client mentions it. He said one really pithy thing here in terms of building excitement. He says that leadership is an action, not just a noun. Pretty good, huh? Leadership is an action, not just a noun. Okay, third thing, constantly upgrade your talent. He said if I had 2 leaders to choose from to promote, and one made the trains run on time, and the other was bold and visionary and maybe even disruptive, he would take the bold, visionary, disruptive every time. He wants that kind of talent. You've heard me say this before. I've always said that I'm good at hiring people smarter than me. And my wife says, well, that's easy. But that's what you want. You want people that are going to elevate you, elevate others, elevate the organization, elevate your vision, elevate your capabilities, et cetera, et cetera. The fourth thing, develop your second and third acts. For someone who's going to be CEO for 14 years or longer, okay, you might come in the door with your big initiative, and that big initiative might take 5 years to execute. Okay, great. Well, now what are you going to do for your second act and your third act and beyond? So you've got to come up with some ways to disrupt your own organization. We did the vlog way back when about my friend who has a really successful software engineering company, and he goes through every few years and he blows up every department. He just goes through department by department and disrupts his own company. Sometimes it has a short-term backfire on him, but over the long run, he's been incredibly successful. And that's kind of what you've got to do. The fifth thing, establish an intergenerational compact. Love this. I read recently that today there are more generations, if you will, working together in business than ever before in human history. So you've got, the baby boomers all the way down to where are we now? We're back to generation alpha and beta, I think. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 different generational cohorts working together. And, if you read all this stuff, you think, oh, it's impossible. How do I possibly relate to Gen X and millennials and all this other stuff? Well, the human brain hasn't really evolved all that much in the last 100,000 years. I think great leadership is great leadership, and people respond to that irrespective of their Gen X or Gen Y or whatever it happens to be. Great leadership, I guess, in the words of Schlifske, transcends fads. How about that? And then finally, number 6, keep the gas pedal to the floor. I love this. Made me think of sports, okay? You're watching a game and your favorite team is doing pretty well. They've got a little bit of a lead going into the 4th period or whatever. And all of a sudden, they're playing it safe. They're, short runs or short passes or whatever, while the other team is putting into place the hurry-up offense. And you find yourself cheering against your home team because you're saying, you're making a huge mistake. You're playing not to lose. You're not playing to win. And that's what Schlifske's talking about here. You've got to play to win, not just avoiding lose. So it's easy when a CEO's tenure has been pretty good and you've got 5, 6, 7 good years behind you. It's easy to let up on that gas pedal when you should be cramming it right down to the floor. I'd like to hear what you think. Please email me. Let me know what you think about success and legacy. What did Schlifske miss? Are there other obvious things that he should have written about? And what's worked for you in your careers? This is Wayne Rivers at Performance Construction Advisors, where we build better contractors.